Ed McGeady, I think Charlie's out. I think there's about 70s out or something.
Bit what, Charlie Mulgrew? Big handsome chops, man.
Charlie's a good as well, so there's a gang is it.
Oh, class. What, and you just going out in Glasgow?
We'll go in town Saturday night, we'll go for a bite to eat somewhere, and then we'll just, I don't know.
You should get mobbed, nah?
You do get a few.
Aye. Wonderbar?
Wonderbar's a bit of a pain in the arse.
Wonderbar, man. Even Wonderbar's a pain in the arse for me. I think, see when people are mad with it, they come up to you more and they drop that kind of, I don't know, that kind of maybe paranoia to come up and say something to you. Me, to be fair to him, but Aiden, it's strange. Aiden's a bit standoffish as a weirdo, Aiden. So tries to be a bit more like open to now getting a kit laugh. Like Aiden's like, I think just Aiden's demeanour would put you off. Right, okay.
Aiden, to be fair. So but we do get a bit of laugh. It's just people wanting fucking photos now. But
that's it, man.
It's not major.
But it's like Wonderbar. It's like, I feel it's the only place that you can kind of really go in town now.
It's half decent.
Do you know what I mean? I know.
It's young and old though for us. Like fuck, certainly me. I'm 43, so it's hard when you're out. But it's one of the best places in the town, knowing it just now. There's no really many places.
Well, they've kind of like shut down kind of nightclubs, I would say, because a lot of people, it used to be like everybody with Sanctuary and all that as well, but it's like nobody would really, I don't know, I would just think if I was going out with my pals, I'd rather go to Wonderbar and over a nightclub kind of, and just, don't know, somewhere it's like you can actually kind of chat to each other's live music instead of that. I just feel like nobody really goes to kind of nightclubs anymore.
I think it's like any sort of sector, it evolves over time, and I think that the hospitality sector's evolving. I think probably down south, there's more places like Wonderbar down south, and eventually that just sort of naturally that feeds itself into Glasgow, and listen, it's been a massive success for the boys. It
has. And I think obviously I was saying I moved down to Manchester, but I think that the place that Wonderbar have kind of tried to be like, if you heard of Albert Schloss,
yes,
mate, that's like Wonderbar, but it's huge down there, but it's so popular and it's mobbed all the time. But when I walked in for the first time, I was like, it felt like you were in Wonderbar. But it's a bit of a mad night out, man. I actually honestly thought I was going to be late for this myself, so I've moved to like Salford.
No, Salford. I'm a massive Man U fan. So
are you? Right, okay. So I'm like I'm kind of in the middle of like Old Trafford and the Etihad, so I'm like a 10-minute kind of drive. Just in the kind of outskirts of Salford Quays, but I'm literally just like a 5-10 minute walk. Do you know where like the Marriott is in Manchester? So my flats are just kind of behind that. It's like Middlewood Locks, it's called. But why were we talking about Salford again? I don't even know why we're talking about Salford. I can't even remember what we were talking about, man. About the fact that I wasn't actually going to be able to come here. So I was up at 5 this morning. First of all, I was actually up at 2 this morning, so I've just moved into the gaff with my missus, and we woke up at like 2 in the morning to this mad banging noise, like as if somebody was in a living room. But I was like, what the fuck? And we both woke up and we're like, what is that noise? So I've jumped out of bed as if I'm going to be able to fucking do anything, right? If there's like 2 guys standing there. But it wasn't anybody, it was just like somebody above us, but they were pure scraping their chairs, whatever, so I've no slept at all. So I finally get back to sleep at about 4 in the morning, and then I had to be up at 5:30 to get the train through to come here. So then I've went to the train station, and as soon as I've got there, it says the train's cancelled to to Glasgow, sorry. So then the next one wasn't for like another hour or a couple of hours, so I literally had to go back home and drive. So I've been driving for about 4 hours.
And on the back of it, I'll make you wait an hour for me to get here.
Don't be daft, man. I know you're a busy guy, man. It's fine. It's so good, man. But no, I'm glad you're here. Thanks for obviously coming in as well. So yeah, we'll obviously get into like the kind of story of Black Rooster first, but I actually want to talk to you about the football and go a wee bit more kind of in depth into that as well. You're the first kind of person I've had on the podcast to do with football, so mate, I could talk about football for days, to be fair, man. So going back then a wee bit, can you talk about like where you kind of grew up? You've obviously mentioned that were you born in Salford then?
No, I grew up in the Calton.
Oh, right, okay.
So where the Barras is.
Right,
so I grew up in the Calton next to St Mary's, just facing there. So I stayed there until I was probably about 16, 17. My mum and dad separated, then my mum moved away. So most of my childhood has been, in my early life has been in the heart of the East End of Glasgow, to be fair.
And how was that growing up?
Tough. It's a tough place, innit? Calton's a tough place, to be fair. I think it's for one point the lowest life expectancy for a male in Europe at one point. I think that was one of the sort of unwanted statistics. So really tough place. But like any small scheme community, everybody knew one another, everybody sort of looked after each other, nobody really had much. So there was benefits to it in terms of like growing up, but it was a tough place to grow up. You had to be thinking your feet, you had to be smart, you had to be a bit wise. You'd struggle. But I know, like all my families grew there, stayed there, so it was a good place to grow up, but it was tough.
And what is it that you like kind of wanted to do when you grew up? when you were in school and stuff, was there anything that you wanted? Was it just you wanted to go into football and that's what you knew you wanted to do? Or?
No, I think I've said this before, I wasn't particularly academic here. I think back then, like, just growing up, I think when you grow up sometimes in housing estates in Glasgow, like even my parents' perspective, like, I mean, loved them dearly, they looked after and stuff like that, but we never really pushed academically, so you didn't really have a thought in terms of the back of your mind of what sort of career you really wanted to have. I think for them, it was just make sure you go to school at 9 and you come back at 3:30 and you get suspended as little as possible. That was just sort of the earliest demands it was placed on us. So I didn't really have a thought process in the back of my mind. My parents didn't really have any sort of career, so that wasn't really a thought in my mind, to be honest with you. Football has always been a passion, just simply because where we grew up there wasn't much there. We had a concrete football pitch at St James's School in the middle of the scheme. We'd go there and play nearly every night, so football was always a passion for you, but nothing in terms of probably that I wanted to try and build a career, because the reality is, when you look back in reflection, I wouldn't have been good enough to do that, I don't think, but it's always a passion growing up in the East End of Glasgow. So, but I didn't really have a thought process in the back of my mind what I wanted to do. I think simply because I wasn't very academic, so I think when you're in the education system in early age and you're no academic, I don't think and you're aware of it, I don't think you really have many aspirations in terms of what career looks like. Probably being just some kind of manual job. Right. But then I think when I left school, I realised that I didn't want to do that either. And it probably took me a few years to sort of get on my feet and then start to think, right, I need to grow up a bit here and start to plan what my life looks like.
Aye, just kind of going with the flow a wee bit, pretty much.
Aye, as I say, not really, and sometimes a lot of that early drive comes with your parents when you're younger. I think if your parents are professionals and academic, then I think you're sort of pushed along that way. Yep. Like that wasn't your sort of demands placed on us growing up in the house and stuff like that. It was just sort of trying to be a good person with a good heart and try and stay out of trouble as much as you possibly can, which didn't always work, but that was always the plan.
100%. And then how is it then that you got actual into football then?
Played locally, just with my mates and stuff like that, then ended up playing school football team, playing with mates, then eventually just played amateur football, to be fair. Played at a good level, to be fair, in amateur football at the time, which was really strong, ended up captain of Scotland and stuff like that. So I done really well at that level. Got to a point where I retired at 33, I think called osteitis pubis, which is a sort of groin injury. Needed an operation, just felt at my age it wasn't really the right thing to do. And then the team I played for was the sort of top amateur team in the country. My manager at the time had said, listen, I'm going to take a step back, could you take this? This was in the sort of November, and I said, listen, I'll take it to the summer. And then that's it. And then I got a bug fit, and for there, managed the team, done really well, won 3 amateur Scottish Cups in a row, took them to, back then, still then, if you win the amateur Scottish Cup, you go into the senior Scottish Cup.
Right, yeah.
Obviously, we done with Darvel, took them an amateur team to the 3rd round, which was when the senior team entered and stuff like that. So done really, really well. Then opportunity came to go to Darvel. So but it's always been a massive passion. So
when you were actually growing up then, what were you just doing football, or were you actually doing other kind of jobs and stuff as well?
No, nothing, to be honest with you. When I left school, I didn't really do much, to be fair.
Right, okay.
I originally studied to go and I made the decision to go to college to try and study accounts, and then only done it for like 4 or 5 months, and didn't particularly enjoy it. I'm dyslexic, right, very good with numbers. Okay. But struggle with writing. So I felt quite uncomfortable in that environment, made the decision to leave there. And then my career sort of away from football just by chance. One of my mate's mums worked for an organisation in East End to help people get jobs. And she's like, do you want to come in as a volunteer? And done a bit of volunteer, and then I gradually worked my way up the company. Then I would end up going to work for Wheatley Housing Group, which is one of the biggest housing associations in the UK. They own GHA and stuff like that. Right, okay. Quite senior in there. Right, okay. But that sort of was by chance, to be fair. It wasn't really, it was sort of planned out.
Right, okay. And then when Darvel came about, then how did that actually come about? Who was it you were managing before that?
Clovel Park. So because I've been doing really well at that level, I had a couple of opportunities to go into junior at the time, and they just didn't feel right. Yep. And then I met the chairman at Darvel, and at the time at Clovel Park, we'd won the league 4 years in a row, and we'd won 3 amateur Scottish Cups, so we'd been really successful. Went and met John, who's the chairman who owns Browning's Bakers, which make the famous Kelly Pie.
Oh, did he? Aye. Of course, aye. They are good, man.
So John's the chairman. Went and met him. Two us connected really well, and he said, listen, do you want to come in and take the club on? Really ambitious, and that really made me make the jump. Then obviously we had a really successful 2 or 3 years there.
You had a really successful 2 or 3 years, 100%. Aye. So let's talk about that then. Obviously we need to talk about the Aberdeen game. I feel like how was it kind of adjusting to having all sort of kind of media coverage and attention, like how do you think that the players kind of adjusted to that? Just for being like a kind of the junior side, yeah.
I think some of the players who we had at that time had played senior football at a good level, so they'd maybe had maybe not so much the attention and that real intense attention it ended up, but they'd been interviewed after games and stuff like that with the press and BBC or whatever it may be. So, but I think it was it was intense. It was funny. I was speaking to BBC last night about something. In relation to an upcoming event, so I wanted me to do a piece for them last night. We were actually, this time last year, is the sort of time we obviously beat Aberdeen.
Was it? Is it a year ago?
A year ago, just about the now, actually.
It kind of feels like, well, I don't know about you, but it kind of feels like yesterday I was watching it a wee bit.
And that's when I was speaking to James at BBC last night. He's like, this time last year, everything was just Darvel. Like,
it was it was mental, man.
It was proper intense. But so that was a bit of a surreal experience. I think it's one of the things where people talk about all the time, but I think you still don't, even myself, look back and understand the significance of it, because it's ridiculous.
Mate, it's massive.
It's massive.
Absolutely massive.
It's massive.
And when you get drawn against Aberdeen, like, I take it you just thought, like, there's no way in hell we're going to get anything for this, or did you have that belief that you're like, no, we can go and do this?
I felt if we could keep it at Darvel, that was always a challenge, because the reality is if you move it somewhere, what teams have done in the past at levels when they've had to draw that size is they've moved the home ground for revenue, because obviously the more seats you can get in, the more money you bring in. But when the chairman he came to me and says, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to keep it home so I think we can win the game. And he's like, right, okay. I said, I generally do believe if we keep it our own ground. So sorry, are you meaning as in, like, you know, if you did get drawn against like a kind of bigger size team like Aberdeen, you would move like the actual kind of game to somewhere else? Like an Airdries Park or a Hamilton, okay. Somewhere we can get more bums and seats.
Right, okay, but then obviously you're not used to.
No, and we made the decision that we wanted to give ourselves the best opportunity to try and win a game of football, and we felt staying at Darvel was the best opportunity of doing that. And listen, that was a party, obviously. I mean, if you're, no disrespect to an Aberdeen player and you turn up to Darvel on a Monday night, it's a bit of surreal. It's
probably a tough place to go, obviously.
I always remember the bus, they were late.
Oh, were they?
The bus was slightly late, and by the time they got there, like, the ground was nearly half, it was nearly 3/4 half full, and the way you entered Darvel, you had to walk through the crowd to get to the changing rooms, and it's quite a long walk around the part of the pitch.
Right, okay.
Now you see them coming round, you could see in their face, they're like, what the fuck is going on here?
Because I suppose there was a lot of pressure on them in case they did get, well, they obviously did get beat off,
and they were going through a bad period as well.
I was going to say that with Jim Goodwin.
Pressure and stuff like that. The club weren't doing particularly great. So they were going through a bit of bad period, and I think probably when you're in that situation, on paper it looks easy, but on the other hand you're thinking probably one of the last games of football you actually want to play, to be fair. So a big part of that was the fact we were able to keep it in the town. Listen, for the town's benefit as well, because
massive.
for that few months, it was proper intense. The next day, it was just, there was news, Sky, BBC, ITV, STV, the place was just press everywhere.
Jumping.
Which is amazing for the town though.
100%.
Definitely.
And I've got to ask you about the speech. Was it off the cuff? Was it planned? I felt fucking riled up listening to it, man.
These things, I think there's always things that you want to sort of. I think when you do these things, like when I do speeches like that, I think there's points that you want to get in, but the reality is I've not got the ability to remember 4 minutes a scripted speech. I wish I did have, to be fair. But so there's pointers in it that I make a point of getting in, then the rest of it you just sort of build round about it, to be fair. It was one of those things where BBC came to us and said, listen, we ask people all the time to do speeches, they don't let us in. Like, we've heard your speeches are quite inspiring. Would you give us an opportunity to do it? And we thought, listen, it's 1.5 time, isn't it? We'll give them the opportunity to do it, and obviously it went a bit viral. So
those kind of speeches though, is that something you're kind of known for then when you're actual coaching teams?
I think for the boys, So when everybody else seen it, it was like this big amazing speech.
Right, but this is just like kind of normal stuff that you do. You're more, what in terms of like the kind of style of manager that you're that kind of more motivational as well.
100%.
Right.
Listen, I think when you look at football, a massive part of management isn't actually about coaching and tactics, it's about people, isn't it?
100%.
So, and the challenge is when you're, like, team sport's very different. You're trying to work with a collective group of 18, 19, 20 people, and you're trying to get everybody on the same sort of journey, on the same page, who all come from different backgrounds, different experiences, different educations. So the biggest challenge of that is managing people. It's not actually the actual what you're trying to achieve. It's more about managing them day in, day out. So that's probably my biggest asset, to be fair.
Yeah.
It's something that I take a bit of pride in.
Yeah.
But the boys would have been sitting like, oh, here we go again.
Another speech, but the only difference was it was like there was cameras and stuff in it.
There was cameras there,
aye. And it's interesting as well what you were saying about it's not just down to tactics and that. Like say like Martin O'Neill. I remember, obviously, I'm a wee bit too young to remember kind of Martin O'Neill, but I remember my dad would always say, and I've been to kind of like nights and events that he's been talking, and like the players would say that they wouldn't even see him like half the time, and he would just come in on a Saturday and just give this mad mental speech, and like because it was him and he was suspected and stuff, it just kind of gave them goosebumps, and he wanted to like run through a brick wall for him, so he didn't even go down to the training ground or anything like the whole week, and he'd maybe like walk by a player in the corridor and say like something to them, and he'd just feel like kind of 10 feet tall.
I think when you look at that elite level in terms of clubs are running the size and scale, like managers don't have time to go on the training ground a lot either, eh? So they'll maybe set the strategy, the tactics, stuff like that, but loads of people deliver that in the ground for them.
Aye.
Their main role is trying to manage the club, but a massive part of that's obviously managing people who deliver the success on the pitch. But I wouldn't imagine MD, I think back to watching that Celtic team, Celtic fan myself, a great era. Like it wasn't like watching Angie's team, which are very clearly tactically set out. You can clearly see a vision on the pitch in terms of what they're trying to achieve. That Celtic team was just about heart, desire, togetherness. You've seen it clearly evident on the pitch.
Yep.
They worked a lot of stuff out for themselves on the pitch. But you watch Angie's team, again, really successful, but everything was structured to finite detail. In possession, everybody knew where they need to be in the pitch.
Aye.
Two very different approaches.
Aye, definitely. I think obviously Ange had probably a bit of both though as well.
Of course.
I've seen obviously the speech that he done see before the cup final against Hibs. I don't know, have you seen that? No.
Aye.
And it was just like, even listening to it, obviously I think he's such a special manager.
I think if you look at the elite coaches even in the world just now, even look at the impact Ange had down south, but if you add in your Pep Guardiolas, Jurgen Klopps and stuff like that, you just know if you guys are speaking to you on a Saturday afternoon at 3:15, you know you're in the edge of your city. Like, you just imagine Klopp doing a team talk.
I know.
It just enthusiasm sort of oozes out the guy.
Yep.
So I think all these people have got the ability to capture people's imaginations.
Aye. And just talking about Ange quickly as well though, because I always said all my pals are Rangers fans, right? And I remember when he was here, I was like, there's no reason that he couldn't go to like a Man City or a massive team like that, the way he kind of plays, and if he had like money available as well. But they all laughed at me, man. But I'm like, look at him now, like he's obviously doing absolutely class doing at Spurs.
And if you look at it, he's probably not spent a lot of money either. He's working with a group of players.
And he's had a lot of injuries.
Who have been there previously and been unsuccessful, but you look at them now and I say this all the time to people, like, see for people to be like, to reach a full potential net, you need to be in the right environment.
Aye.
And just sometimes coaches, management, work with certain groups of people, there's just not the right environment. What that group have found with Ange is, like, he's created the right environment for them, and the boy Bisakit plays in the middle of the pitch, who was exceptional at Brighton before he went there, massive sign. I thought he was going to be outstanding, really struggled. Then Ange comes in and he's back to that elite level, but you just need to sometimes be in the right environment. If you're not in the right environment in life, you'll never reach your full potential, and I think what he's done there is he's created the right environment, and I've no doubt he'll continue to go on to be a massive success.
100%, man. I honestly, I could genuinely see him at a team like Real Madrid or something like that, and I'm like, why not? Do you know what I mean? The way that he plays football as well, it's that fast kind of attacking style of play as well.
I think what he does, like people like him do, Klopp done it at Liverpool, Pep's done it at Man City, you galvanise the full place, eh?
It's
not just the team, it's the staff, the community, the fan base. You look at Tottenham just now, outside looking in, it just looks like everybody's together, eh? And he's leading that and driving that, and they're still sitting fourth, eh?
I know, they're still doing well,
They look like everybody's fully connected on the same page. I mean, you start to build that momentum, it's amazing what you can achieve.
Well, we've seen that with Ange, obviously, at us, because obviously I've been going to the games and that, and after the Neil Lennon season and that, I was like, obviously we talks about Eddie Howe coming in, that was kind of nearly like a done deal or something, and I was like, I think there was issues with background staff coming in or whatever.
Manager didn't want to come.
And then I remember obviously with Ange, I was actually walking home from one of the friendlies or whatever, and I turned to my dad and I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Do you know what I mean? But
I think that was everybody.
I know, but it came in and blew everybody away. So going back a wee bit, sorry, so obviously we beat Aberdeen, so then you get drawn against Falkirk and you get put out. So what would you say, I don't know, maybe not necessarily went wrong, but what would you say that happened?
I think back to that game, we didn't start well in that game. We started really well against Aberdeen, but I remember the game was at 2-1, and it was all us. Yep. We had the post, we nearly equalised, and then we went down to 10 men, we get sent off, Gouser get sent off, and then we fell apart. I think at that level, elite players at a level, you can't be playing them with 10 men, be 11 men, knowing you're trying to chase the game, and eventually their quality end up taking over and they end up winning the game comfortably. But I remember John McGinn actually speaking after the game to Fetty, and he's like, listen, at 2-1 we were in a proper game of football. Yep. I think what happens there as well is the expectations grows, and then the focus then changes to like even though we're still a massive underdog, if we wouldn't have beaten Aberdeen the round before, we would have been a massive underdog in the Falkirk game. Because we just beaten Aberdeen.
Yeah.
Or everybody.
It was an expectation maybe. Or...
and you wouldn't even see all the build up to it. And fellas to the Falkirk lads, I know a few of the boys there. You wouldn't think we're playing Falkirk, eh?
Why just they weren't even talking about them?
Nobody was speaking about them. Like, I remember when they scored the first couple of goals, they'd celebrated like they'd won the league, but I think it was because they were trying to make a point where we're a very good side ourselves, and they fully deserve to win the game on the night. But we're massively in the game. I think when people forget in that run, before we beat Aberdeen, we beat Montrose, who were sitting third in League One, we went up there and beat them 5-2. And when people ask me about that, it's strange. I always say, like, for me, that was a more impressive result than beating Aberdeen.
You think? Yeah.
Aye, definitely. Yeah. Aye, 100%. Okay. Aye. Just because we got up there, their ground, it's away, they're sitting third in League One, they were flying at that point, and we went there and won 5-2, and I mean, comfortably won 5-2, we were outstanding on the day. But that gets forgotten a wee bit because of the Aberdeen game, to be fair, but I was more impressed with us in that game and actually was the Aberdeen game. But I think that obviously the magnitude and scale of beating Aberdeen, that's what lives in everybody's
in their head.
And that'll be rerun every year. I mean, there was a piece on the BBC
seen that,
a couple of weeks ago. Every year there's a game of significant terms, a lower team playing at a Premier League team, then that'll be drawn back up. Kirky's goal will be shown. I'll be a snippet of my team talk shown somewhere, I'd imagine. For
the rest of your life, I think.
100%. Until somebody else
comes in that. Let me ask you then, see about the actual way you play, because you do play very attacking, right? You've got the kind of inverted fullbacks, you play the wingers high and wide, a lot of balls over the top and that as well. So was there somebody that, I don't know, that you kind of looked up to in terms of being a manager that made you want to play like that? And why is it that you decide to play that attacking kind of football?
I think probably when I first started to go and watch Celtic proper, Tommy Burns was the manager, so that was the Canio, Cadetti, Van Hooijdonk. I remember that.
Too young for me, obviously.
But that was a period, and that was Celtic were a proper football team that didn't win, but did much success, but the team to visually watch were outstanding, and I think things like that inspire you. But then I've also been a massive Man U fan all my life, like Eric Cantor's sort of my sort of idol in football. He's my sort of hero. Man United at that point were a really exciting attacking team, and then I think you've always then that sort of influences you. I think when I played football as well, I sort of played sweeper back then, which was sort of sat behind the centre half, ball for the back, and that influence. Then I think that's just that's always how I think football should be played, and we've always stuck to that, and we would never navigate away from it, to be fair.
I know, good stuff. I've got to stick with it.
So that's the way I see football. To be fair to Si as well, that's why I love working with Si so much. He's got the exact same sort of vision, sort of belief in that style of football as myself, so that's how it works so well.
Aye, good stuff. Where does the Manchester United connection came from? Just for when you were a wee boy, just like them?
My mum's friends' brother lived in Manchester.
Okay.
And when I was younger, and they took me down to watch Man United. I was only young at the time, and for then I've just had a massive sort of soft spot for them.
Unlucky recently.
Oh, it's been horrific recently.
It's been terrible.
And I mean, like, probably support them. Like when I watch the game, I'm just nervous. Same feeling I get watching Celtic.
Right, okay.
Aye, so
you need to let us know when you want to come down for a game. Then it's only 10 minutes for the gas.
But we're going through a difficult period. But
why do you think it is? Because I just feel like, I mean, I don't doubt that Ten Hag is he is a good manager, obviously, but do you think it's the way that he manages the players? Do you think there's, too many problems coming from above? Is it the players' attitude? What is it that you think is going wrong there?
I think it's really hard to look at him in isolation, because I don't think Kennedy's done particularly well since, obviously, Alex Ferguson retired. And I think, again, back to that, when you sort of build a club structure around about a individual, the way the club was running about him, when he goes, there's always going to be a period of obviously change, but unfortunately that's dragged on far too long. And then back to the same thing, I don't think MD who's been in's probably been the right fit either.
I don't think he is. Like I
don't think he is either, to be fair. I don't think he's the right person either.
Because I'm not even a Man United fan, but I just think I watch his like post-match interviews, whether they've been beat or whatever, just says the same thing, oh, we played very good, but we did not win. And I'm like, nobody wants to hear that, you know what I mean? But
again, it's back to that thing where you look at the level of he's competing against Guardiola, Klopp, even Arteta's who's turned Arsenal background, and just went in there. But like, I don't know how much money Man United. I hear people always say, "Oh, you need time to go in and settle and build the club," and then you go, well, Ange's been in the place 3 months and he's probably playing the best football in the whole country at the minute.
I know,
it's nonsense.
I know, no, it definitely is. So. What is going on? I don't feel like some of the players and all that.
I don't think he's got a clear style in terms of how he wants to play. When you watch them, I don't see clearly. If I watch Liverpool, I watch Man City, I watch Arsenal, Brighton. You watch the clubs, like, got a clear identity. You can see it clearly sitting in the house watching on the telly, in the stand, wherever you are. And I watch Man United. I don't see something that they all truly believe in. It's the play at times, they go direct at times, and it's no structured. And I think at that level, when you're competing in that league, then I don't think you stand a chance, and I generally don't think they will until they remove him. I think he's got to play a massive part in it, because obviously he's came in and he's kind of just brought like players that he's worked with before, spending like 90 million in Anthony and all that. But like, if you look at what he done, I watched his Ajax team at the time, when they were a proper possession-based football team, like exceptional at it. They got to the semi-finals of Champions League the year before. As you look at his style there, it's totally different, eh? And he'd done a recent interview, and I remember him saying that I wasn't brought here to do that, I'm brought here to play the Man U way. And I was like, well, surely the decision to bring you in was based on what you'd been achieving at Ajax. Part of that must have been your sort of style and philosophy. And that's the point. I think if you don't believe in it, like, he must have believed in that Ajax because they were so successful. Yep. To change country, then I think you need to change. That's either in you, bred into you, born into you. I think Ange, I think that no matter where Ange manages in the world, he'll play the exact same style of football. Aye, doesn't he care? Like, even see when they played, was it Chelsea or something, they played and they went down to 9 men, they were still playing that. He just doesn't care. It's just the same. I think that's the problem. I don't think when he's left there and come in here, he's trying to adapt and change. And I think when you start to change how you manage and how you work and stuff like that yourself, you'll not do it yourself. And if that's the case, you'll never get any real conviction in it. If you don't believe in it, then why will other people? So I think at some point, until they bring somebody else in, I don't think it's going to work. And going back to kind of Darvel then, so obviously we're at East Kilbride now. So what was it? Did anything kind of happen at Darvel, or was it just a case you wanted a new kind of challenge that presented itself? No, I think, I remember we played Pollock in the league and we drew to each, and I sort of fell out with one of the directors after the game. And what did you say there? Sorry, you fell out? I fell out with and then I made the decision the next day to go. I remember John, the chairman was away, I think, or he was going away. And you know, it's that sort of East End bravado takes in. You're like, what are you talking to? So I just made a decision at that point. It was the right thing was to leave. Probably a bit sort of quick in my decision, but you know, it's like you just when something like that happens, it's done, decisions made. And then I took a break. I wasn't going to do anything. I took a break. I got a few offers. Had made the decision I didn't want to go back in. Then the offer presented itself to go to East Kilbride, and then it just felt the right thing. Like, I've spoke to clubs in League 2 and stuff like that at times as well, but for whatever reason they've no happened, or they've not felt right in my end and things like that. But that just felt right, and we've obviously went there and you're flying, man. We're doing all right, mate. You're flying. You're absolutely flying, aye. And I want to ask something, all right? Do you know the boys for Riley's gaff that do the podcast in here? You might not, it's fine. No. Probably not probably not your kind of demographic in that, but basically we were on here, and the day that I was recording the podcast, I seen a headline that you were linked for the St Johnstone job. Did you see that? No, I think what happens now is anytime there's a vacant job, that was a link for a Brove job a while ago. What else? But the St Johnston's are that. It's a huge. There's just paper talk. There's nonsense comes along. There's things that there has been things that have been linked to, and there's definitely been conversations being had. But I see Johnson certainly was the part. Right, so we were just talking about Stevie May cutting about with the Black Rooster logo in the St Johnstone kit. So I know. So that wasn't the. Right, okay, cool. I just seen that and I was like, that's fucking mental. He's been linked to that. Like I remember the Brove job came up as well at one point, which when Dick left there, and then somebody was it the Sun at phone to do the record, and they're like, there's rumours circulating that you're going to a Brove, and I'm like, no, it's not happening. It's definitely not me. But there's, as I say, there's been other things I've been linked with that there's certainly been discussions had, but for whatever reason they've just not happened. Good stuff then. Well, let's talk about Si, alright, you've already kind of mentioned, but what do you think makes him such a good kind of assistant manager? Because obviously he went from being in a position where he was actual kind of first team manager, so why do you think, well, not why did he want to kind of, it was not a step back, but obviously he was kind of the manager of the team, and now he's obviously you're a kind of assistant, so. I think when Si played at the later stage of his career, when he went to Peterhead and that, he had a lot of coaching responsibility as well as playing. And then obviously the opportunity came to go to Broomhill, and it was like a business arrangement as well, open goal, Broomhill, it made sense. And And then I think he's so passionate, Saya, and he's used to being successful. And I think he just struggled because for whatever reason, they just couldn't get that. It was clearly identity in terms of how he wanted to play football. Yep. They just couldn't make it a success. And I think he's still like that just now. But the problem is, like, even at your level, you take that home all the time, and it's a wee bit harder when you're the manager because the stress is greater.
Aye, it's kind of like lying solely on you.
Aye, and I think back then, like, and this is not criticism of any staff or anything like that, because they were all good guys, but I don't think Kennedy cared or was passionate about it as he was.
Right, okay.
So when you take that home, you're solely taking it home. And I just felt it was maybe starting to impact on his personal life, with the family, and he made the decision. And then we always spoke back and forth.
Aye, of course.
Two of our mates, and pound stuff off one another. And I said, what you got to do? And he's like, I think I'm going to chuck it. And I said, listen, why don't we do something together? And he's like, right, okay, whatever we do next, we'll do it together. I think he prefers the fact that I'm the manager, he's the coach. But, I mean, he still cares as passionately does. He still takes it home. Like, we do not each on Saturday night. And Saturday, I mean, you think there's a death in the family. The two texting man on a Saturday night. So, aye. But I think it's good now where the two share that same weight of responsibility.
Yep.
But, I mean, I say this. I remember I said this when I got the Broomhill job, and people were slagging me because it was my mate. But he's generally one of the best coaches in the whole country.
Right, okay.
And I mean, I'd stand by that every day.
Right, okay.
And I think if you speak to any of the players who have been coached by him, they'd tell you the same thing.
In what way?
His ability to articulate what he's actually trying to get across, which is an art in itself.
Yeah.
What he's exceptional at is, and this is where he fills the gaps that I don't have. So the two of us have got the same sort of philosophy in terms of how to play football. I can build it in my head in terms of what it looks like on a pitch on a Saturday. But he's exceptional at doing is building it into training drills. So it's absolutely represents what you're doing this Saturday. He's exceptional at it. And I mean exceptional at it. So
it kind of basically what you're doing in the training ground mimics exactly how you're going to go out and play.
A lot of that's based in shape, so you walk through shape and blah, blah. But then there's other parts of that, actual drills, that he builds it in so it reflects that part of the pitch on a Saturday. And he's brilliant at it. I mean, he's exceptional at it.
Aye, because I used to play for, do you know Renfrew Vicks? Have you heard of them before? I used to play for Renfrew Vicks, man, but we used to have this coach. It was like every training session we used to do this Y drill. Every single time, man, but I was just like...
Passing drill, I know.
Aye, like you've got somebody standing
here. So we don't do passing drills, eh?
Do you know? No,
we don't believe in them. I think our belief is, and I believe in it, if you can't pass the ball 5 yards when you're pressure,
why the fuck are you there?
Fucking here in the first place. So, we don't do any of that. Everything we do is sort of relating to a Saturday, but I mean, and I know just say this because he's my mate, but he's exceptional what he does. He's generally and when I say the best in the country, I mean in the country. Right, he's exceptional at it. And the boys will tell you that as well. He's intense though. Aye. Like demands high standards, but his training's exceptional. The best that I've physically witnessed, he's brilliant at it.
That's crazy, man.
He's so good at it. He is so good at it.
Aye, good stuff.
He hates me saying it, but because
he'll be sitting here watching us with a wee tear in his eye and that, man.
Because we'll get slaughtered somewhere for it. You know what I mean? Some fucking me guy on Twitter will slag it to you. But he's exceptional at what he does.
Aye, good stuff, man. You need to get him on the podcast. Tell him to come on, man, for sure.
He'll definitely come on for you.
Because I want to do the wing it challenge with him, but I'm thinking I might need to have a wee paramedic on standby.
I think
after his
hot
wing
will be us. Our wings won't be spicy as Bucks, to be fair.
Do you think, mate? Trust me. It's so see the wings that I've been doing with guests, you can't get them.
Right.
On the menu, so we've been getting the chefs at Rooster to make them like 10 times spicier, make it a little intense, man. We had Kaz Milligan on, and he was in, and his lips, weren't they? They were going like purple and blue and all that. Like, mate, they were.
I had to go to the hospital.
That's what I was saying. Like, I'm scared that I might need to have a wee paramedic on standby if he wants to do it, man. But
doing the box one, to be fair, but they're proper. See, I can't eat spicy food. So
I was going to see if you wanted to do it, and I was like, I was pushing the boat a wee bit too far.
Spicy food.
They said you're an extra mild guy at Rooster.
That's how we get extra mild made, because I was like, I can't eat this.
I'm a bit of mild. It is still pretty spicy in that, man. But like the chefs at Rooster, they've been thrown in like, I don't know, fucking habanero peppers and all that. Like, they've been proper intense, man. Proper intense.
No, that's not my
bag. And you've got a night out. I don't actually think we were talking about that when the cameras were rolling this Saturday.
Out with the boys on Saturday, me, Si, Jack, Aidan. That was a few years all going out on Saturday.
Big Charlie, big handsome chops.
Hopefully Big Charlie and I will go into town Saturday night.
What about Slaney? Has he not come out? No.
Slaney was out we were out 2 weeks ago, me, Kev, Slaney and Si. He was out,
Does he drink?
He's wild.
Because I didn't know, I'd heard that, obviously you know all about Slaney and stuff, and he's passed and that, but I didn't know if he'd like stopped drinking and that, and he was just...
I know, he drinks.
He goes for a booze and that.
I mean, pure hero, a guy.
I'm choking. Well, I'm choking to meet him properly. He will not remember, but I've met him like, see when I was pure listening to Open Goal, I think I was like maybe 18 or something. I was working in Odeon and I met him and I was buzzing, mate, because I loved him. See, the episode that he done with Charlie Mulgrew, like back in the day, it was like one of the very first ones with his dad's suit over his horns and all that. Fucking brilliant, man. And
he's a hero, a guy. Honestly, but it's meant to a guy with so much self-doubt in himself, and he's unbelievable. Honestly, he's one of the greatest guys you'll meet in life. Honestly, I've got so much time for him. Well,
I obviously met him in Odeon, and I always wondered, I'm like, is he just putting this on? Like, mate, he was bonkers when I met him. I was whitening my teeth at the time, right? He's like, mate, your teeth are fucking class. Where'd you get them done and all that? And I was like, what the fuck? He was absolutely bonkers, man.
He's proper nuts. He's a lovely guy. They two together, drunker.
Oh, brilliant, man. Different actual mad weight as well. I've seen them both sober together and that, so I can only imagine when I'm mad at it.
Different levels. It's different levels.
That's Slaney. The self-doubt as well. I just love when you hear him talk about like when he was a player and they'd be like calling him over and all that, and he'd be like, no, I don't want to.
That's genuine. There's no bullshit in that. That's just the way, that's the only way he is, eh? And he's such a talented player. You speak to MD.
Well, Matt, I remember him. I remember him making an appearance, and I can't remember if it was, I used to go to all the away games with my dad as well. I can't remember if it was like Ross County away or something like that, but I do remember him making a couple of appearances, and obviously then he get fucked with the injury.
If you speak to MD, mate, he'll tell you he was exceptional, gifted football player, eh? Just, again, mate, it's right environment. One of the biggest skills in life is managing your mind, eh? Like, it's such a talent to be able to
He's lost his a long time ago.
Unfortunately, he's got so much self-doubt. And even you look at him now in terms of what he does now, he's so talented at it.
Oh, no, he is.
He doesn't realise how talented he is. Like, I mean, sometimes you could just put the camera on himself for an open goal, but he probably doesn't see that. But he's exceptional. But he's just an unbelievable guy.
He's brilliant, man. Good stuff. Right, let's actually get into Black Rooster. So I know you've obviously been in a couple of podcasts and you've kind of talked about Black Rooster, but for anybody listening in, so how did Black Rooster come about?
I think that the sort of story is that everybody sort of knows a wee bit is that we tried to buy a Pepe's. There was a Pepe's in Woodlands Road at the time. It took off really well, and me and Kevin tried to buy one, and at that point there was only ever going to be 4 in Glasgow, and the guy who had Woodland Road had bought the rights for Scotland, or the Central Belt. So
was that the first Pepe's in Scotland?
The first one in Scotland, right. And then so me and Kevin spoke, and Kevin at that time had a cafe in Poso, knew a wee bit about food, and he's like, I think we can do that on our own, eh?
Aye.
I think so. He's like, mate, 100% we can. The two went in and then built the first one in Duke Street.
Aye, because the one in Duke Street is funny because see when I get given my black card, I just remember it was like a heavy, I don't know, it was just class that I got that, because basically when I was in school, that Duke Street one had just opened, but me and my pal in 6th year always used to patch school, and we would drive up to the Duke Street one just to get a Black Rooster like every weekend, and I was like, this is mental now that I've got like a black card 6 years later, and then I'm doing all the work with them and that.
That was the first one, which has evolved, obviously. The actual experience you got in the stores has evolved massively from way back then when we first opened the first one, but that was the first one,
And how many is there now?
Just under 20 now. Just under 20 in Scotland, and then maybe space for maybe another few, no too many. And then the plan is then we start to grow into England. That's the next sort of stage of development which we're starting to do just now. Well,
I don't actually think the cameras were rolling when we were talking about it earlier, but just for people listening, obviously I've moved into Manchester and that as well, and me and my girlfriend were sitting rough, and we were like, mate, honestly, I felt like I had withdrawals for Black Rooster. I felt like I'm a junkie with it. that is a massive opportunity to go down and break into that.
Aye, that's the plan. So I think, listen, there is big brands in England already. It's that sort of community sort of level that we're at, like based in the heart of communities and stuff like that. There is brands down there, but I generally do believe our product's good enough that once it starts to expand, that it can be a success, to be fair. I think the difference is like the size we're at just now, even though we're pretty big and we've got a big team behind us now, like still pretty passionate about it. I mean, Kevin, in terms of, that's one thing I'll give him credit for, like in terms of the quality of food,
so good
store experience and that. I mean, he's proper on it every single day. Like, he's passionate about it every day. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we speak daily all the time still, and he's proper passionate about making sure the product we sell I mean, and the way Kevin is, he's OCD. Like, if I've got 100 stores there, 150 stores, I would guarantee you it'd be the exact same. He's just on it constantly.
He is. And obviously I've seen it firsthand and all that
because he's so passionate about it, and rightly so, because what we've achieved is amazing. But you could get to I understand when people get to a business gets a size scale, when you start to remove yourself away from the daily operational stuff, you can lose contact with that. But to be fair to him, he's proper on that. He's quality of produce. I mean, the brand is flying, and I mean, he's passionate about the standard and quality as he was being the first week we opened. I mean, he's proper on it every single day. You've got to be in that. That's why it is so successful. And obviously, I'm not just saying this because I work with Black Rooster now and you're sitting here, but it's the GOAT, man. It is the absolute best. And like you said, like, I don't think people actually realise like everything is made like fresh. It's no frozen shit or anything. Like, everything is fresh, and you can tell that as well. You built such a good company. Everybody that I've obviously worked with, like Chris, Roxanne, Rachel, are all lovely, but your actual staff in the stores as well are unbelievable. I actually need to give a wee shout out to the guy, see the cook that works in the Govan store. I don't know his name, right, but he is honestly the nicest guy I've ever met in my life. Every single time I come in, coming up, shaking my hand, how you doing, how's things and all that. But that's what you're trying to build, eh? Like, you're trying you can see that though, build that relationship. That's why the stores are located in the places they're located, because they're sort of in the heart of places. Yep. And you want staff to have that sort of relationship and the ability to build relationships with customers. Yep. And I think that's why that the business is getting stronger and stronger all the time. I've got such a loyal customer base, and that's why me and Kevin, it's probably more Kevin than me, as I say, but are really strong on like the standard about the product we deliver, because we know we've got such a loyal customer base, and we don't want to lose it. But we've always been in the opinion that we want to try and deliver the best products we possibly can, and a lot of that's down to because we've got such a loyal customer base, and then a lot of the delivery now is down to our staff on the ground day who do a fantastic job, because their stores are properly busy. Oh, they're absolutely brilliant. Every single one of them, man. No, for sure. The main aim for us always is to make sure, as I said, that the product we deliver day to day is still a very high standard no matter what, and our sort of core business is Scotland, Glasgow, and we'll never ever divert away from that, because that's what's obviously built the success. It's the people of Scotland and who have helped us get it to the stage it's at. Aye, good stuff, mate. Good stuff. Just to finish off, right, we had to play a wee game, right, about the football. 10 quick fire questions, all right? You ready? Might be horrendous, but right. Messi or Ronaldo? Oh, Messi every day of the week. Every day of the week. I feel like this might be a bit of a bold statement, but I feel like if you say that Ronaldo's the best player in the world, you don't actually know football. Two different players, in terms of their skill set, but if you're talking about football, then it's Messi every day of the week. All day of the week. Who's the best player in Scotland right now? Best player in Scotland right now? Matt O'Reilly. Matt O'Reilly, great answer as well. Who's going to win the league? Celtic. Thank you. Home or away games? Away. Who was your football idol growing up? Eric Cantona. Goal or assist? Assist. Aye? I've not scored many goals in my life. So where was it you played? Sweeper. Right, okay. What, CDM kind of? Aye. That's what I played as well. So I didn't have much pace, but I could ping a ball about. I took set pieces. I like getting stuck into people in that as well. Always picked up bookings and that. But anyways, one player you would love to sign for EK? One player just now that's realistic, that we could realistically sign? We'll go realistic and then like a far-fetched, I know. Realistic, my God, let me think. And that they would like to bring in just now. Reece Lyon, I like the boy Reece Lyon. It's at Celtic Hearts. He's a captain. He's exceptional. Okay. Really gifted boy. Okay. And then totally unrealistic target just now. Let me think. Who's exceptional just now? I know. Around the world. Like Bellingham or something, man. Probably, I would take, probably Bellingham would be a shout. Unbelievable, mate. What's he, he's like 19 or something, isn't he? Unbelievable. He would be the one, I think. Mental, man. What do you think the best team in history is? Best team in history? I'll say my lifetime that I can remember. Man U team that won the European Cup in Barcelona against Bayern Munich. Okay. I would have went for 2012 Barca, prime Barca. No, they were exceptional. As well. But I mean, there's so many different teams you could choose for. Who do you think the best player ever is? I think you'd go Messi. I don't think Messi. But then see my dad's like a massive football fan and that as well. But he absolutely loves Messi, but he still thinks that Maradona. Obviously, I don't fucking remember Maradona, obviously, but he just says like,
Maradona, like the pitches and all that he was playing on.
If you probably look back at it, obviously getting things evolve and stuff like that, I don't think Messi would survive in that environment.
Okay.
The physicality, If you look at sort of Maradona's structure, I mean, he was solid, like same height probably.
He was
more robust. Maybe a wee bit more top heavy.
Full of ching all the time, pointing or not.
Exactly.
It's quite impressive.
So you'd probably look at that and go, I wouldn't imagine, because then there wasn't much protection, and I don't think physically could probably take that sort of strenuous tackling and physicality, whereas I think Maradona could survive in any era.
Did you watch Maradona growing up? Did you remember that?
No, I don't remember him, but just obviously you see the great moments then, like when you see things like that, and you maybe watch YouTube videos and you watch him, and he was unbelievable, exceptional, but it was just what's so astonishing was the sheer physicality he took. I mean, they would just ride tackles by 5 or 6 people, whereas I don't think Messi, he's in a different arena. Pitches are like bowling greens these days, and then there's, I think you can fucking hardly tackle him these days as well. I'm not quite sure Messi physically could have survived in that environment. The type of player he was, because he's always trying to draw in contact. I think Maradona could, but like, again, there's loads of different. I
still think Messi's the best, man.
I just think because you've seen him in the flesh.
Exactly,
and you see him all the time.
It's who at times where, let's see, wee guys, they're probably going to grow up and say that fucking, I don't know, Mbappe or something was probably the best ever, but I suppose it's who you grew up with. And last one, who's one player that you wished you seen live?
Oh, that's a great shout. Baresi. Right, okay. The Italian centre half, right, okay. That's a bit of a mad shout. It's not as if he's like, a pure goal scorer. Just because he's played the same sort of position as me at the back, Baresi, they were exceptional. Him like big Maldini and stuff like that. Baresi would have been somebody who I'd like to have seen in the flesh.
In life. Good stuff, mate. Well, listen, Mick, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I know you're a really busy guy in that. And like I said, mate, I absolutely love flipping my Black Rooster as well. So it's been great.
Thank you, mate, as well. You've been a massive part of the recent success, mate. It's people like yourself that keep the brand relevant and growing, and there's no doubt part of that recent success has been down to people like yourself, mate. So we appreciate everything you've done.
I appreciate it. Top man. Cheers, Mick. Thanks so much, mate. Appreciate it. Thanks.